Welcome back, everyone, to Beautifully Complex. I'm really excited to be having a conversation for you with Kira Willey, and we're going to talk about raising joyful kids. How do we do that? That's the goal, right? So how do we do that? How do we get there? And what can we do in our day-to-day lives to help to foster that? Kira, will you start by letting everyone know who you are and what you do?
Yes, I am an author, a musician, children's recording artist, and a kids mindfulness and yoga expert. I've been working for more than 2 decades with kids all over the globe and the grown-ups who love them to bring mindful practices to them through movement and music and school programs and performances and trainings and teachings and all kinds of good stuff. And I believe strongly that when we empower kids to live in their bodies, and to connect with them where they live, which is in this world of imagination and play and singing and wiggling and dancing, we fully engage them. And that's how they get empowered to be their best selves.
Love it. Let's start with just describing what is a joyful child in your mind?
That's a great question. In my mind, a joyful child is one who is regulated most of the time, not all of the time. And by regulated, it's really important. I don't mean calm. Calm is great sometimes, but what I mean is having an appropriate response to a stimulus as opposed to an outsized response to a stimulus, right? Being able to feel safe enough in their bodies and in their surroundings and with the grown-ups around them that they have appropriate levels of response and are mostly regulated. Doesn't mean happy all the time. Nobody's happy all the time. Doesn't mean they get whatever they want or anything like that. But it means they're mostly able to regulate themselves, to manage their bodies and their emotions.
Yeah, we talk so much about regulation here. And so I'm really glad that you've made that connection also with finding joy and really accepting what our bodies are telling us, like really keying in on that. But we have to teach that to kids, right? How do we do that? How do we get them more aware and connected to that?
So the root of mindfulness is self-awareness, right? And if we think of regulation as sort of a house we want to build, the foundation of that house is self-awareness. And then all the rooms we want to build out, when I train teachers, we talk about the rooms being those character strengths we want children to have, resilience and compassion and empathy, all those sort of outward-facing skills. But it's an inside job at first. The foundation of that house of regulation is self-awareness. And so mindful practices are self-aware by definition. Mindfulness simply means being fully present, being fully aware of what's happening in any given moment, right? And I like to add with kids with kindness and curiosity. And so mindful practices help teach children self-awareness. But here's the really big thing. Mindfulness doesn't need to mean sitting still on a cushion and closing your eyes and breathing for 20 minutes. It can, and that's fabulous, but it does not need to, especially for young children. And it can mean inhabiting your body, right? Being aware of your body is in space and what your body is doing and wiggling your body and being aware of the sensations that creates. Creating a pattern of rhythm with your hands or with body percussion, being aware of the sensations that creates. It can be taking long, deep breaths in and out, pretending you're a bear hibernating for the winter, and paying attention to the sensation that creates inside your body. So mindful practices are self-awareness practices, but they can be kid-friendly and fun and short, right? And engage kids where they live. And that's what all my work is about, is engaging them where they are, connecting with them in a way that makes sense to children.
It sounds like there's a lot of play and imaginative play, especially. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, the magic formula for any mindful activity with kids is short, kid-friendly, and consistent. But it's that kid-friendly piece that's critical. So, for example, I frequently do assemblies or school performances for 400 kindergartners.
Fun.
And I, in about a minute, can get them to be quiet and still by doing bear breath. We literally pretend we're bears hibernating for the winter. We get really cozy in our bear cave, super cozy in our bear cave, and we take long, slow, deep breaths in and out through our noses. And we keep breathing like that because we're bears. This is how we hibernate. and we imagine how warm and safe and relaxed we are in our bear cave. And that's the really short version, but the long version is only 30 to 60 seconds. Yeah. It works like a charm, but it didn't work because I talked to kids about stimulating their vagus nerve and bringing their nervous system back online, right? It worked because we use a fun, child-friendly concept. Children love to pretend they're cozy bears finding their cave and hibernating for the winter. So it's connecting with them on their level and using concepts like the weather and birthday candles and hibernating bears and hopping crickets to engage with them in a way that makes sense to them, not with our adult world of words and words and words, right? And explanations and justifications, and this is why we got to go, and we're going to be late, and this, right? Yeah. Which we do, understandably. That's where we live. We have schedules, we have an agenda, we've got that's not where young children live.
Yeah.
And so we need to connect with them where they live in a way that makes sense to them.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just, as you were talking, thinking about can you talk to us about what it might look like if you are trying to get out the door and it is a struggle and we're not going to use our words? What are we going to do instead? What does that look like?
Great question. So it's connecting with them first. So I have I have mama mantras throughout my book that are good for any grown-up who loves children, but one of them is connect, then direct. Mm-hmm. So I did this all the time when my kids were little. I would holler from the kitchen, right? Holler from the kitchen. It's time to go. We got to go. Go find do you have your backpack? Did you get your, right? No response. I can still hear the blocks clickety-clacking in the other room. But if I walk into the other room, if I slow my roll a minute, get down on their level, make eye contact, maybe a hand on the shoulder, ask for a 30-second, what are you doing? What is this that you're building? You have to be able to be patient for that 30 seconds, that 60 seconds, connect, right? So I would do this with my son. Tell me about this tower that you're building. Oh my gosh, it's going to be the tallest tower in the whole country and the policeman's going to live here. Great. Can we work on this more after school? Yeah. Okay. And then eye contact. It's time to go.
Yeah. And
we get up and we go. It's so much more effective because now he feels that connection to me. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, for lack of a better word, I'll call it cooperation, right? Is because of lack of connection with trusted and loved grown-up, right? Mm-hmm. When we establish that connection, that cooperation is so much more likely to follow. He feels seen and understood and heard. Yep. Now he's ready to, he's like, what do you want to do? Okay, I'll go. I'll get my shoes on,
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. They feel seen and heard and understood. You have seen them. You've seen that this is important to them. Right. This is highly of interest, right? You've acknowledged what they're doing, and then you're asking them to make a shift. And I interviewed Mr. Chaz a couple of years ago, and I remember him saying, and it stuck with me, that we want kids to come on the journey with us willingly. We don't want to force them to get out the door. Right. We don't want to force them to even go have a fun family day. We want to have them be on the journey with us willingly. And this is part of how we do that, right? Is to really engage with them.
And we have to recognize that for young children, especially, transitions can feel like a loss. They're absorbed in something that they really want to do. They don't have the sense of time that we need to be at the event at this particular time. All they really have awareness of is that you're taking them out of this thing that they really are enjoying doing. Right? Mm-hmm. So you have to find a way to bridge that. It's very jarring, right? To bridge that. And the way to do that is by connecting with them on their level. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that movement and music is a big piece of what you teach kids and the grown-ups in their lives. You talk to us a little bit about why that's important. What does that help with? And maybe what it looks like to incorporate that day to day.
Yeah. Well, let's start with rhythm. Rhythm is the most basic building block of music, right? You can have rhythm without music, but you can't have music without rhythm. And rhythm is very regulating in our bodies. Mm-hmm. So rhythm is structure, right? If you think of a beat, it's very symmetrical and structured and steady. And so that feels good. There's a reason that when you hear a great song come on, the radio, you probably start to move a little, right? Your shoulders go, or your head bops, or your foot taps. It's because you're syncing with that rhythm in a way that really feels good. It's grounding. And so for children, rhythm is an incredible tool to use. And there's actually really fascinating studies around rhythm and music in the brain as opposed to listening to speech. So when we listen to someone speak, when a child hears us talking, right, about what we need to do and how we need to leave the house, it lights up a certain part of their brain. When they're hearing rhythm and music, more parts of their brain are actually lighting up. So more blood flow is going to the brain, putting it in a more focused state. You're literally making them more alert and focused and more engaged, even if all you do is play a steady beat and put your words to the beat. Make it more fun, right? That's it.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a singer or a musician. I get that pushback a lot, right? Like, I'm not a singer, I'm not a musician. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be. Literally just start by using a beat, using rhythm. It's more engaging. Plus, it's novel. So it kind of triggers that like pattern interruption, like, wait, what? And gets attention that way too.
Yeah.
But it's really a really, really powerful tool. You can also put your instructions that you use, like if you think of life with a young child, especially teachers or parents with kids that they have daily routines where they say the same things over and over again, you're likely giving the same instructions at the same time of day, probably repeatedly, right? That needs to be a song, right? That needs to be put to a melody or music. And put it to a melody you know already. Save yourself the trouble, right? Put it to the ABC song melody, or, I don't know, You Are My Sunshine, or something that you already know, or make it up. But when we put information to a melody, it's not only more engaging, as we've already established, it's way more memorable. It sticks better. Musical memories are more durable in the brain. There's more, I'm a super nerd for studies. There's another super fascinating study about people with dementia who can't remember their families or, what they did that day. They can sing their wedding song because those musical memories are so durable. So there's another way to use it, is to put your instructions about jammies on and teeth brushing and whatever it is to a song. They'll learn it quickly and pick it up. It'll be more fun and engaging. And they'll remember it pretty soon. They'll just be able to sing it themselves because it sticks in their brain. So there's lots of ways to use it in everyday life. And again, it's not about being a musician or a singer. No one's going to file a complaint about your pitch. I mean,
I don't know.
It's all good.
But yeah.
They might. It's all good. But I mean, most parents, not all, most parents sang to their infants when they were little, right? So you've got it in you. You know what I mean? It's there.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about our neurodivergent kids and how they sometimes struggle with executive function. So working memory, if I give you a 3-step process and you walk away from me, you're probably not going to be able to complete it without some sort of structure of like a written list or something. But now I'm thinking we could put it to music. If we had these routines and we made them a song, then they're going to stick better in that memory. And it can really help to offset some of that deficit. Amazing.
Exactly. And you're keeping it in a place of joy and play too, as opposed to in this place of instruction and command and directive.
Yep.
Which just changes the vibe, right? And it's just brings more joy into the daily routine, which is sometimes where it's hard to find in those daily routine, like things we got to get done, right?
Yeah.
So it's sometimes joy isn't always present there or easy to find there, but if you bring in music and rhythm and it really helps. Yeah.
Yeah. My son's first grade teacher years ago, she would play a particular song for transition time. And so the kids came to remember, like to automatically, if they heard a particular song, they knew, oh, it's time for me to go sit in my seat and get out my, math notebook or whatever. And it was magical. I spent a good bit of time observing and helping in the classroom that year because we were trying to figure things out, what was going on. And she had such a command of the room without ever being commanding, if that makes sense, without really directing very much. because she really leaned into being playful, using music and movement. And it really makes a difference. Like, I started doing that at home. Okay, well, let's put a minute and a half, 2 minutes for brushing teeth. Let's find a song that we like that means this is the brushing teeth time, and it was so helpful.
Yeah. And that's another great thing about music is it can change your emotional state. It can shift the energy, right? So
100%.
You are the DJ of the vibe in your house. You can decide what you want it to be, right? And so you probably know this intuitively, but music that has a strong beat and heavy bass is really empowering. Has that empowering grounding feeling. Music that is lighter and higher up in the range and is really melodic is calming and soothing. Music with a tempo of about 60 to 80 beats per minute, which mirrors a resting heartbeat, is very calming. So you can literally decide, at cleanup time, what's the vibe going to be? We getting this done in 5 minutes? We put on the banging song, and you put on the soothing song in the car when you're hoping for a quiet, mellow car, whatever it is. But you have a lot of power, so to speak, at your disposal because music has such an incredible way of changing the emotional state.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And for my kid who's neurodivergent, it's actually that really fast, heavy music that soothes him. Which is so counterintuitive, right? And I've talked to so many parents whose kids are the same, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize."
That's the regulation of that beat, though. That's what it is.
Exactly.
It's that beat feels really good in their bodies. It's like it's predictable and like strong and like it's like some children need that heavy work. They need that just like they love that joint pressure and all that good stuff. I have one of those. It feels good. It seems a little counterintuitive on the surface, but if you think about it, it makes perfect sense.
It really does. And it really helped me to open my mind to people being different, right? Like we have different, if you play that for me, it is too much, right? I just have a different nervous system. And for me, that's too much. But for him, it's just the most soothing thing in the world. And it's amazing to me, like heavy metal with double bass helps him to chill out, it's crazy, but it works. And it is that rhythm. He used to, in high school, he had an iPad for like, because he has a writing disability, and he would start making beats with an app in the middle of class, like, not out loud. He was able to wear like a headphone. And we came to realize that was his way of getting regulated again. Like this is too much. I can't focus. So I'm going to do this for a minute. And then he would get back to doing what he was doing. And it was like just during, work at your seat time. It wasn't disruptive or anything like that. And it was kind of magical to learn that about him through like these instincts that he was having to create rhythm, to create beats, to soothe himself. That's really incredible. Amazing.
What great, what great self-awareness by him to realize that that's what he needed and to do it. I love that. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I wish more we could use rhythm more with neurodivergent kids because I think it would for a lot, and not for as you said, every child is completely unique. Yeah. But I think that it can be really effective in a lot of situations. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For everyone. I, have been listening to podcasts when I get ready in the morning for years. And just a couple months ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to start listening to music. I don't know why. Music makes me so happy. And I'm just going to start listening to music in the morning instead of, true crime and all of these other things. And just the rhythm has made such a difference in how I feel in the morning. And I'm like, I'm going to stick with this,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also releases, oxytocin and we get endorphins from it and all this good. I mean, there's all kinds of science around the benefits of music and particularly in a group or creating any kind of music. So if you create music, even if that's a beat with your child or in a group or a classroom setting, the unifying effect that has, the bonding effect that has is incredible. Collective music making is really, really powerful. brings our heart rates into sync. It lowers our breathing rate. I mean, it lowers cortisol. There's all kinds of great science around it. But yes, even just listening to music yourself on your own releases those endorphins, dopamine, that feel good. That's like, somebody liked my Instagram post. That feeling comes from listening to music. It's really, really powerful.
Talk to us a little bit more about some ideas for older kids, for parents who have middle school, teens, young adults. How can they use rhythm, use movement, use music, use whatever you recommend to create that joyful environment for them?
I think sometimes when children get older, we think that they're grown up pretty quickly, and we go right to the cognitive, right? The brain. We sort of forget that they still love to be in their bodies. They need to be in their bodies, right? The studies on like movement in kids when you move from elementary school to middle school and how much the movement drops because recesses go away and all that type of stuff, and the effect that it has are astonishing. Children, all of us, by the way, need to move a lot, but children up until, their 20s, they have to move a lot every day. And I think that a big thing that happens is we kind of forget about that. We forget they like to be silly, they like to play, they like to be in their bodies. And we go more to explanations and, just sort of stuff in the brain. And I think that's a mistake. When I I mostly work with early elementary and elementary age, but when I work with older ages, I bring them play and I bring them balance challenges and movement. And what I do to keep it age appropriate is I make it challenging. I'll make it more challenging than I would for a younger child. So we'll do a tongue twister, for example, put it to a beat. And then once we get good at that, we get a little faster. Once we get good at that, we do that while we're standing on one leg. And once we get good at that, we do, so I'm adding layers of challenge, and they love it. They're being challenged. They get a little bit healthily competitive with it. But it requires complete and total focus as to what's going on in their body. So we still have to keep them in their bodies. And we find out you got to find out what lights them up, obviously, right? So you're not going to do a hopping like a cricket game with a ninth grader because it's just not going to take. But there are ways of having them embody, like I do affirmations with older kids with big power poses. So we'll have them come up with their own affirmation. And when we say it, we're standing in a warrior two pose and we making muscles and we holler it out. And then I ask them, create their own, make another one, try a different pose, take up space. They eat it up. They absolutely love it. So I think it's really about remembering that kids of all ages need to be in their bodies. That's where that self-awareness is developed, from paying attention to what's going on in their bodies and not going too early to let's talk about it, which is great. And at that age, they can certainly handle explanations of what's happening in their brain and why this is important and all that kind of stuff, but not to live there. They still need to live in their bodies.
I love that. Yeah. And I don't know why we decided that there's a certain age at which we stop playing. And we stop being silly and we stop having fun. No. Adults need it too. It's helpful at every age for every human. But at some point, we just decided that we're not going to do that it's too juvenile. And so I love that you're giving us some examples of ways to really incorporate play and laughter with older kids.
It's so important. It's not joy and laughter and play shouldn't be, especially as we get older, the reward after we get X, Y, and Z done.
Yeah.
It should be part of the part of the destination, part of the daily routine. There's a whole chapter in my new book called Let's Play, and a lot of it, each chapter has exercises for the grown-up and for the child and for the grown-up and child together. The grown-up ones has exercises to help you reconnect to that sense of play. To help you remember, just pause. What did you love to get absorbed in when you were little? Just remember, is there a way you could bring a little bit of that back into your life? What used to crack you up to the point where you had tears in your eyes and couldn't stop laughing? My grandmother used to call it the church giggles, like when you get the giggles in church and couldn't stop. Maybe you could just stop what you're doing when nobody's home and put on a great song and just dance for 2 minutes.
Yep.
things like that we like, yeah, why did we decide we're too grown up to do these things? That makes no sense.
We're really not.
We're really not. And it brings so much joy. I guarantee you put on a song you love and you dance for 2 minutes, you are going to feel better.
Yeah, totally.
You would.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we need to teach our kids by modeling that to keep doing it as they get older, right?
Joy is a worthy, goal in itself. Just fun, just play.
I knew a family years ago that they did a dance party every morning, and everybody did it. The grown-ups did it, the kids did it, and it was every single morning before school. They never skipped it. They always did it. And it just created a totally different vibe for the day, right? Totally different energy. Leaving the house, going to work, going to school, and doing the things that you have to do. And, it's like 2 minutes, 5 minutes.
What a great way to start the day.
Yeah. We're not asking for you to get up an hour earlier. Like 5 minutes or less is all you need to do it. Or if you drive your kids to school, play music, sing in the car, dance around in your seat, they need that. School is stressful. They need that.
Totally.
That
I
break
agree. And I love that.
in the mood. Yeah. What else do we need to know about raising joyful kids?
One thing that's really important around raising joyful kids is they need to feel safe in their bodies and in their environment. And a big part of that is feeling safe with the grown-ups around them. So the grown-ups around them need to regulate themselves. So, and this is a really big piece, right? So I have a framework in the book called Calm, Connect, Create. And a lot of people think at the outset that calm means calm your child. It doesn't. It means calm yourself. It means calm yourself. And calm your environment and calm your schedule as much as you're able. But the biggest thing is check yourself. How are you showing up, right? And the truth is, when we want the best for our children, we want the best resources, we want the best schools and the best teacher and the best food and all of this. But by far the most important resource we can give our child is the most calm, grounded, centered version of ourselves. By far. Absolutely. It's way out in front. Nothing else even comes close. And so when we think about it that way, we realize how important it is. I know the term self-care gets thrown around a lot, and some people are like, no, self-care. No. It's just getting your own emotional house in order so that you can show up as the best version of you, as the most fully present version of you. And it makes a huge difference. I tell a story in the book about my daughter who had lots of challenges growing up. Getting dressed was one of them. I mean, every morning, tears, negotiations, the whole thing. And we were in the middle of one such sort of battle, and I was getting more frustrated. And then I had to take a phone call. And I stepped out of the room and I completely shifted my whole mood, right? And I was like, hi, how are you? Nice to see you on the phone. A minute and a half later, I come back in and she's calmly putting on her tights. And I'm calmly coming off this phone. And I was like, the only thing that shifted was my energy. That's it. That's the only thing that changed, in that situation. So your energy, how you're showing up, makes a huge difference. And there's lots of very small baby step practices that we can do to just help ourselves show up better, even when things are not great. It doesn't mean perfect. It doesn't mean fixing all the problems, but it means finding enough presence and equanimity to be able to deal with something a little more gracefully. That's what it means. It's not a magic pill or anything like that, but it means when you practice just enough self-care and presence, you have more clarity to deal with what's going on.
And we're able to be the parent we actually want to be.
Yes.
I always add
Absolutely.
that. Like, that is how we're able to actually show up the way we want to show up, not just the way our kids need us to, but it's also for us. It makes, it makes all the difference.
That's such a great point. Yep.
Makes all the difference. Kira, tell us about where everybody can find your book and your website and all that good stuff so that they can maybe grab the book, learn more from you, connect.
Yes. Yeah, please. The book is available at thejoyfulchildbook.com, and you can learn all about me and all of my resources at kirawilley.com.
Love it. And I'm going to link all of that in the show notes at parentingadhdandautism.com so that it's easy for everyone to find you and connect and grab the book. It has been delightful to talk to you, and I'm going to
Thank
take some of
you.
this energy with me for the rest of my day. And just reminder to breathe and let things be lighter. Everything doesn't
Yes.
have to be as serious as it feels like it has to be. I love
You
that.
know,
Thank you.
I grew up with my grandmother, and she had a saying, "It doesn't have to be so hard." And it really is sort of the heart of the message. The daily routines, we can bring more joy and laughter and play into them, and we'll all be better for it. So thank you so much for having
Yes,
me. I
of
appreciate it.
course. Thank you. I'll see everybody next time. Take good care.